And I think we are golden. All right. So, my guest today is someone who my wife and I have had the privilege of working alongside of for over the years as we've watched him grow, not only as a chef, but as a goal-driven machine. Following his dream to cook delicious, locally sourced, non-pretentious food, he left his position as an executive chef at Salt Air and worked alongside of one of the most badass women in the restaurant business that I know to date as she opened up her restaurant, Heirloom in Lewes. Since then, he's had a front row seat to see what happens when you combine passion with purpose, as he has been recognized for several awards, such as back-to-back semi-finalist nominations of the prestigious James Beard Award. Although he lives and breathes chef life, anyone that knows him will tell you that he identifies with being a father and a husband first. Today, we'll dive into the journey of the chef as he takes us as an inside look as to what it's like to create your dreams, show us how teamwork really does make the dream work, all the obstacles that he's had to overcome to get here thus far, what it's like to balance being a chef with being a family man, and what he, the team at Heirloom are doing right now through this quarantine, and so much more. So without further ado, not giving too much away, let me introduce to you Chef Matt Kern.
What's up, homie? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Fucking honored to have you on here. When I say that this man, when I say this man stands by farm to table, he literally left the farm to be on this call today, like on such short notice. So, thank you.
Hey, man, this is cool. You know, this is how we stay connected now. Yeah. I'm not calling this the new normal, but for right now, this is how we stay connected.
Don't worry, I actually put a little blurb about that in here today. So before we get into it, obviously the interview process is brews with bosses. What are we sipping on and why?
So I do love local beer, and I've always been a Dogfish Head man. And then as soon as Big Oyster opened, I started drinking their beers, and I got to say some of their beers like really hit home. I don't like flavored beers. I'm also not an IPA guy, so a lot of times I fail people by telling them that. I like Belgian beers. I like Belgian doubles and triples. You know, I'm like German and English by heritage, and I guess just the flavor really appeals to me. But their Noir Et Bleu is definitely one of my favorites. Being a Pennsylvania born and bred kind of guy. I guess I'm, it's redneck down here, and I'm hillbilly.
Right.
But I grew up eating wild blueberries a lot,
Okay.
and they grow everywhere. And most fake blueberry flavors I don't like, but these guys really shove blueberry into this beer, and I already love a good Belgian triple. Yeah. And the first time I had it was my birthday a couple years ago, and I was like, this is amazing. So I figured it'd be fitting. Blueberries are just starting to pop out now, and I got my blueberries in the little planter boxes I got going, and they're starting to produce some berries. I ate my first blueberry 2 days ago. I was really excited.
Bravo.
So
that's special. Then. All right, good. Well, cheers to you, my friend. Appreciate it.
You as well, sir.
I've brewing forever, actually. This thing on draft is like, it is a force to be reckoned with. How well they pulled that off. So I gave, that is good. Damn, I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah, see? It's tasty.
It is, yeah. And I'm with you, dude. I don't usually like the super overly sweet beers. I do love IPAs, but that packs a punch, dude. That is good.
I love a good IPA. I'm just not like IPA everything. I've always kind of stand behind the Belgian triples. Just something about it.
Fair.
The yeast strain, the flavor, it coats your mouth in a certain way. Hey.
Yeah, now we're talking.
I'm excited.
All right, so I gave you a little bit of an intro in the beginning as to who you are on paper, your accolades, that kind of stuff. But how would you describe yourself in 6 words or less? Now, they can be nouns, adjectives, but just kind of like, husband, father, leader, XYZ.
Husband, father, Rain Man of Delmarva Food.
All right. Now
I feel I feel a lot of people think I'm really smart, and I don't feel like I'm really smart.
Mm.
I have focused a lot of my life around certain things that I really love,
Yeah.
and music, food, being in the mountains, and fishing. A little bit of surfing here and there, but mainly those things until I moved to Delaware about 10 years ago. I already had a really good career in food. I was working at some great restaurants in my life, and when I moved down here, I was kind of looking to just get away from everything I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
I loved surfing and I loved the ocean, and I had an opportunity to come down here, and I had never been here before, and it was to open a restaurant, and that restaurant ended up flopping really bad.
Down here?
But it was never, I don't believe in bad ideas, because, I look at my life now, and every bad idea or decision I've made in my life has led me to where I'm at right now.
Huh.
And I have the most amazing woman who still puts up with my shit and loves me as my wife. And she gave me 2 beautiful kids, and they continue to impress me and astonish me and blow me away and drive me crazy every day.
Bang. Yeah. Behind every great
So
man.
I can only be grateful for where I'm at.
Wonderful. All right. Well, you said as you left, you were in, what was it, Bethlehem, PA?
Bethlehem.
Okay. So
it's kind of like my hometown. It's where I've spent the majority of my days. I lived in Nazareth for a little bit, which is right next to Bethlehem, but I grew up kind of in like a city environment, and then I had the mountains as well, and it was best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And I guess I just kind of got to a point where I didn't see anything for me to go with my life. I didn't have like a goal that I felt comfortable with, something that I really wanted to work towards. I had a lot of goals, but nothing substantial, and everything I was kind of trying or doing at that point in my life where I was 29.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I got to do something different. And I didn't even drive. I didn't even have a vehicle for like 9 years leading up to that. I didn't need it.
Really?
I saved a ton of money. So I was like, all right, I'm going to move down to the beach with this restaurant group that was big in the Valley, and open up this place. And I made some really good friends, and I met some great people that summer, including my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you met Karen down here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
She is a born and bred local Sussex County girl, dude. She was born and raised in Lewes. This is her 21st or 22nd year at Quiet Storm.
Really?
In Rehoboth.
Wow. So, has it really been open that long?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. She knows everyone.
Yeah, I've seen that.
that.
Well, for some people that are looking to get a job in the industry, a lot of times I think they view it as like a temporary job, and especially in the kitchen, So I know you went to culinary school. I know you left to go like enter into, we'll call chef life, right? Into the world and this back of the house world. But like, what were your thoughts when you first started on that path? So I know you said that, you left to come down here. So we can kind of skip too, I guess, because you had enough of where you were going up there. So when you started down in Rehoboth and Lewis, like, did you forecast where you were going with your life, or was it just kind of
No.
like, all right, I got to
No,
get?
it was completely random, and I was scared out of my wits.
Yeah.
I've always been a big adapter, and not the biggest planner. I just kind of throw myself in. If I feel like I'm growing stagnant and I'm bored and I'm not using all of my talents and all of my wit about me,
Mm-hmm.
I got to move on.
Yeah.
I was missing a lot. And I'm going to say the biggest thing I was missing was a life.
Right.
I was doing great in the industry. I was making some of the best food I've ever made. I was working at Bolite, which is another incredible restaurant, one of the best restaurants in the country. But as far as my own personal life, I was lacking.
Really?
Felt alone and depressed, and and I just didn't know what I was going to do next. And I didn't see a foreseeable future in my hometown. Although I love it, I love everyone there. It
Yeah.
is family. It is like coming home every time I go back. As far as where I was going to be with my future, I didn't see a future for myself there.
Hmm.
So when I came down here, it was just a hot mess. I mean, chaos in this restaurant that we were trying to build and put together, and then open for summer. And we were only open for like a month and a half, 2 months, and there was no money. And the guy who opened this place was a complete criminal and a crook, and he was in and out of prison. And then he got busted for a bunch of restaurants that he was trying to open in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He was in the news a lot. He got arrested by FBI and ATF. I'm not going to mention.
Are we just painting a picture around somebody without actually mentioning it? That's fine.
I was scared. I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
You know, like I moved down to Rehoboth, and I was like, I don't know anybody. There's no waves, and the bars close at 1.
Yeah.
Crap. But then I met Kern, and she turned everything upside down. I went from having this, career that I was really proud of to now all of a sudden having this glimmer of hope of a real life. When I first moved down here, there were some good chefs and some good restaurants, but there was no real opportunity for me.
Right.
And that was scary.
That was what, 2000?
I worked for Nino when Nino owned Salt Air for a little bit, and that was cool, and I made a good relationship with him. But here I am. I'm engaged. All of a sudden now I know I'm going to be a father, and I'm taking on an 8-year-old little girl, and I adopted her because I fell in love with her right away as soon as I fell in love with her mom. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get my life together, and I got to go make some real money. And here I have this great resume. I got to go put it to work, and nobody wanted to give me an opportunity. So I took whatever jobs I could get, and I made the best of it. And I'm going to be honest, Karen had my back when I was nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't have good money coming in. She suggested that maybe I go get a job at a chicken plant because it was more reliable and they paid better than what I was making in restaurants. And I was there. I was at a point where I was like, all right, you know what? I got to shit or get off the pot.
Right.
And then I had some job. I worked for Sodell for a while, and I worked with Matt Haley, and I didn't see us getting along for the long run. But they were a great company to work with. Scott Kemmerer is a pretty amazing human being. Doug, the executive corporate chef, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I stayed with that company so long, I didn't want to disappoint that man. Doug really is a great dude. He really is. And a lot of the other chefs in that company that I know, they're phenomenal people. Yeah. I'm grateful that I did make friends with them. But I tried out with Big Fish after that.
Right.
And I was working at Salt Air, where I met you and your wonderful wife now.
Yep.
And I gave that my all. I really did. I put everything I possibly could into it. But sometimes, it's about the fit. And that restaurant was going in one direction, and I really wanted to push in another direction. And finally, we decided to part ways.
So that's actually, I want to, you mentioned earlier how things, when you know that you're in alignment with stuff, and actually there was a lot to unpack there. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on first was, I feel like, of all things, obviously my topic is, or the point of my business is to help people in the restaurant industry, but also to help other people kind of understand, what's going on within there. So I feel like whether it be social media, movies, and things like that, they have portrayed chefs in this kind of like angry, irritated, quick triggered life. And I do believe that that's certainly accurate in some sense, but
for sure,
I also believe, because it'll kind of transition to where we're going here, that people mistake passion for intensity and irritation. I know that myself, like you, when I'm actually passionate about my work, I come off in this like, yeah, you got to know, because when you're really doing it, and you're like, and then you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, yeah, slow down, man. And I think a lot of times that's why chefs are often mistaken in this light of being these angry and sensitive guys, because I know you firsthand. Like, you're one of the more sensitive guys that I know, that's openly like in touch with that, and like, hey man, this is me. This is the real authentic me. And I could tell that when I worked with you at Salt Air, because I was anything but, a good employee. Where Brittany, she knew food, she knew how
Yeah,
to talk to
she
you
was the
guys.
best.
Yeah.
She ran circles around all of
Oh my
us.
God. She knew how to talk to you guys in the kitchen. She was good with tables. And me, I would stumble in hungover and be like, hey Matt, I forgot to put a dinner order in. And you're like, well, what is it? I don't remember. So, to paint this picture, it's one of those things that, where you're saying you're not the right fit for a place. It's kind of like being a caged animal. And from like our brief conversations that we've had back in the day, I could always tell that about you, how you had dreams, you had a vision, you had these goals, and you had all this potential. But I
Yep.
felt like it came up short, because you were almost, you're familiar with like the metaphor of the shark, or the shark being in a fish tank, how
Yes.
it will only grow as big as its fish tank. And I always saw that in you, because we had really good, deep intellectual conversations. And I always saw you as just being trapped as like the establishment, because they wanted a certain cookie cutter chef, and you just were not that guy. So my question is, how do you know when you've outgrown your fish tank?
Well, when you put everything you have into what you're doing, and you feel like it's not reciprocated, when you feel like it's not appreciated, and you're frustrating everyone around you, you're frustrated yourself. I would have daydreams a lot of wondering if I'd ever be in a kitchen that I was making food I was proud of again. And to be honest, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter where I'm at.
Hmm.
I have a family.
Right.
They come first. If I got to go flip burgers at a Bob's Big Boy, I'm doing it.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. My wife, my kids, they come first. I will
Right.
always put them first. But I knew in order to do that, I got to be the best me I can be.
Hmm.
I have learned that I think my number one tool is humility. You got to humble yourself. I am no one special. If I'm completely honest to the root of it, I am the biological son of a prostitute, heroin addict, and a 67-year-old one-eyed horny man. By all means, I'm kind of a mistake.
Yeah.
And when you look at life that way, you appreciate everything you have.
Did you
I didn't
just,
have to be anybody's standardized test.
was that
I
a
could be
mythological
whoever I wanted to
creature?
be.
Was
What's
that,
up?
was that a mythological creature, or is that your parent?
No, I was adopted. And I'm literally, I came from a drug addict who spent most of her life in prison.
Yeah.
And she had a sugar daddy who was 67 at my conception.
Wow.
Now, I wasn't wanted.
No, let
But I
alone
was adopted by
lucky.
parents that gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
And since then, knowing everything now, being an older man, I have to deserve my life. I have to earn my life. And that is my quest, is to make damn sure that the investments that my parents made, that the huge, massive amount of family that chose to suck me in made, that all my friends and people that have had my back through the years, that they all know that I love and appreciate them, and that I'm going to earn their love and their trust, and I'm going to push forward. And my dad, who passed away a couple of years, he would always say, leave this world better than you found it. And I'm going to do that. One way or another, I'm going to do that.
Amen.
With food, I thought I was going to be a rock star. I was a musician. I sang, I played blues guitar.
Mhm.
I pushed everything in my life to be a musician. And by 25, I realized that was not a realistic goal. And I was not going to pay the bills. But food
Mhm.
was already giving me this facet of creativity and hard work, and feeling like I belong somewhere, and having a home, and feeling like I'm part of a family. And I can't give that up to save my life. I mean, the restaurant industry gave me a place where I never truly had to grow up. I'm still pretty immature, and I'm almost 40, you know. But it also showed me that you get what you give. And I worked for some great chefs, man. I really did. And they pointed me in the right direction, and they took me under their wing. And, you know, I learned not only what kind of chef I wanted to be, but what kind of man I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I really love food.
Yeah.
I love knowing where that food comes from. I've worked in some great places where we had farmers come in with dirty hands and smiles on their faces, and it just lit up your day. And there's more work involved, but that is good work. You know, when you go home at the end of the night working in an incredible restaurant where everybody functions as a solid team, and you knew you put out the best food of your life, you feel like a god,
Right.
like a just a charged battery that is so excited with what they've done and what they're a part of, and I love that feeling. I'm addicted to that feeling.
Yeah. So Skip too, right? You realized that this, you know, Salt Air was clearly not the right fit for you, right? So I don't know how the transition happened other than that, but I
By
knew fate. Okay. Yeah. So I remember checking back in with you, and I got wind just like from knowing Meg and that kind of stuff that you were going as like the executive chef over at Heirloom as she opened that up in Lewes. Now, you went from working at a place where you're told basically by the establishment that this is the type of chef that we're looking for. This is the food that you need to prepare. And this is how, you know, this is your team. And I remember, you know, you worked well with all those guys. But you leave a place like that, and then you enter Heirloom and you partner with someone who has their dream, but like that has to be so cool because they come to you and say, hey, listen, this is my dream. I believe in you. Do you think that you can do what you want to do and get us to where we need to go? You know, and you get the freedom to create that stuff. And like you built your Loom squad, right? Is that what you got? Yeah. So you got
Which
the
is my
Loom squad.
everything.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make damn sure right now that everyone knows that I am not a one-man show.
Yeah.
That what I've been able to accomplish at Heirloom is because of everyone at Heirloom.
Yeah.
Meg Lee is a force to reckon with.
Yep.
She's amazing. She gave me an opportunity that nobody else was willing to give me because she believed in me and she wanted to do something that was completely honest from the ground up. And when you work and build through transparency and make damn sure everybody knows it, so that instead of pushing yourself on a community, you want to be accepted and embraced by a community, amazing things are going to happen, regardless of wrenches that are thrown in the mix. I mean, everybody's going to have troubles. Everybody has to fall on their face.
Yeah.
And when you're down there, enjoy it just a little bit, you know?
Right.
Make sure you're comfortable with it and make sure you know you never want to be there again. But if you are, that you can pick yourself back up. And that's huge. I have failed a lot in a lot of different avenues in life. And because of that failure, I kept coming back. I was like, I'm not going to fail at this. I'm going to put my heart out there until somebody accepts it or many people accept it for what it is. But it's integrity and honesty and stewardship that I feel really get you to where you want to be in life.
And that humility.
You want something, you gotta put yourself in a certain place in life to deserve that. You know, you can't just demand something. You can't beg for something. You got to earn it.
So
and
do you believe in like the law of attraction? You know?
I do. I also, because of my wife and many things in the past 10 years that I've seen and now my entire life, I mean, I do believe that certain things happen for a reason. Meeting Meg Lee, I don't think it was just chance. I mean, I went to a mutual friend. I went to Lion Gardner, who is not only a great chef, but a dear friend. And I worked for him for a while, Blue Moon. I loved working there. And I told him I was having some real problems, just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And, you know, there's this idea of food that I love so much that I wasn't getting to. And I wasn't proud of who I was. and I knew I needed a drastic change. And it wasn't just my environment or what kind of food I was making, but it was, how I treated myself and how I looked at myself at the time. Mm. I wanted to be happy as well, and I wanted to come home happy, and I wanted my kids to see me happy, and I wanted my wife and kids to be proud of me,
right?
But in the right way. And I didn't want to have to sell myself in order to do so. I wanted to be who I was and be okay with that. Mm-hmm. So when I met Meg Lee, I already had notebooks upon notebooks of dishes that I wanted to make and recipes that I wanted to work on and ideas. The main idea was not to push these expensive ingredients. That's anybody can make an expensive ingredient taste good. That's why it's expensive. Right. But to waste as little as possible. Where all these people throw out all this food because they have a standardized menu, I was going to change the menu whenever it needed to be changed. Instead of having to focus on an entire menu, focus on everything as components. Yeah. And start to work things in as they're in season, as they come up, as somebody has, secondhand fruit.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with this secondhand fruit? I can't take it to market because they only want the best stuff, and then I'm going to throw this out. Don't throw that out. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm focusing a lot of my career on traditions that have been in food for hundreds of years: pickling, preserving, dry aging. These are quality traits in cuisine that have been passed down from generation to generation, and people are losing that because now you go to a grocery store and everything's got preservatives in it, and right. Everything's bagged and shelf stable, and can't really trust a lot of that food, and it's scary. So the idea with Heirloom was, here's some honest food. We're going to celebrate every farm that we can get food from. Mm-hmm. And we're going to work on trying to showcase a food identity for Delaware. Yeah. What is Delaware food? Yeah. And I mean, is it fried food and crab cakes? I don't think so. I think there's so much more involved.
Right. And so, like, we had the honor to go up there and go to the James Beard when you actually got the nomination for the semifinalists. We went up there and we ate with you guys.
Biggest night of my career, dude. I was so happy to see you guys there. It was awesome.
Yeah, dude, that was so sick. So awesome to be a part of that. But to, like, everything that you put out that night, what was it? The Rappa Scrapple was it Scrapple 3 ways or something like that?
Well, we made our own Scrapple.
Okay.
We use these green circle chickens. So it's the only chicken that we could find that was, not grain fed, but fed only restaurant scraps. Mm-hmm. So it's a healthy bird. So instead of being a 5 to 9 pound chicken, which should not exist in nature, they're like 3 to maybe 4.5 pound birds, and they taste amazing. Yeah. Because not only do they eat produce, vegetable scraps, they're also eating bugs. If you follow the natural order of something, give me 1 second, my wife's calling.
Yeah, you're good.
Can you just turn the beans off and then open the oven and pull the bread pan out with 2 towels and pop the top? Thanks, Boo. I'm baking bread right now, and okay. I got to get dinner ready after this, so I'm just trying to multitask.
Well, that's a good transition point because, we're on the topic of teamwork, making the dream work. We've already discussed how, like, I know that, you're obviously a renowned chef at this point in your career, but there are certain things that put you in place, to do the things that you love to do. So, how much do you think that, like, relationship and being in not only a committed relationship, but for someone that's just getting started, maybe in this industry or deciding to become a chef,
turn them
off. All the things that go into working in the chef, right? So long hours, you're working nights, weekends, you're working mm-hmm. birthdays, like holidays. Yep. If you're in a committed relationship, I feel like you need to know, like, there are some solid ground rules that if we're going to make it through this, this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what I'm about because this is a part of my dream. So
Yep.
where do you find balance with that? And how do you, like, what's some advice that you would give to somebody that's just starting out in the industry and looking to become one of those chefs, but is also in a committed relationship?
I met a woman who is stronger than I am.
Mm,
She is very independent. She didn't need me in life. She chose to be my partner, my friend, and to stand next to me.
yeah.
And once I knew that was real, I did everything I could to make sure she knew I'm not ever letting her down. Ever.
Yeah.
Uh, I have dated some nice women and some not so nice women in my life. You know, I don't think it's a male or female thing. I just think it's a person thing.
Mm,
No matter who you choose to love, gay, straight, or other, everybody wants to find somebody that's going to put up with their shit.
mm,
And if you find someone that wants to put up with your shit for the rest of your life, you hold on to them no matter what.
yeah.
And you put them first. And you listen to them. And you take into consideration everything they say and make sure that you abide by the things that they hold true,
Mm,
that they have in their heart. Their, you know, their life is now your focus. And I made sure from the gate that, you know, my wife knew that no matter what was going on, she came first in every decision.
yeah.
And now with my kids, you know, my daughter is now 18 and she's going to college. I didn't go to
She
college.
really, wow.
I didn't go to culinary school. I took tech. I took high school culinary.
All right.
I just, you know, I started out as a dishwasher at 14 in a great restaurant and kept working in great restaurants. And then when I tried working in a not so great restaurant when I was younger, I was like, I don't want to do this. I mean, I remember seeing line cooks high and drinking on the line and, you know, just not taking anything seriously and just being slobs. And I had already been spoiled by working in good restaurants where cleanliness and hard work and dedication were just exuded from everybody. And I loved that feeling. That's what I loved and held so dear to my heart about fine dining.
Mm,
Not the snobbery, but the commitment. And you felt like you were a part of something. And I you know, still like a band, I enjoy being a part of something.
yeah.
You know, when you're a part of a great team, everybody can kind of take a different angle and find a better way to do something. And it makes you check your ego and realize that now you have these people that you can fall back on that also have your back and that are going to see something differently than you see it.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of a great restaurant
And a
is,
good chef, right? I mean,
well, yeah,
because you run into that problem as egos tend to collide sometimes where you have vision and someone else has, you know, maybe a more realistic, like, hey, you're living here, but we need to be here right now, you know?
yep. But in the same lines, you know, here are these young people that are me when I was younger.
mm,
Who am I if I don't try to make them better than me? Which everyone on my crew right now is going to be a better chef than me.
yeah.
I make damn sure of that, and I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it. I mean, I'm grateful for the people that work for me. They are my my all. They are my restaurant family.
Yeah.
I rely on them solely and so heavily. I couldn't do what I do without them. You know, instead of having one person focus on bread or one person focus on pasta, they all had to learn everything.
Yeah.
Everybody who comes into the restaurant, you have to learn our bread program. You have to learn the line. You have to learn all the other little fine tuning machines that we have in place that make Heirloom work.
Yeah.
You know, and Meg Lee is our grand architect. So even I still take all of my pulls from that woman.
Yeah.
She allows me freedom over the menu, and I get to create food that is seasonally available and of the best quality that I can source locally. But when she wants something, we all say yes. When she
Right.
wants something a certain way, we say yes.
Mm.
You know, it's her money, it's her business.
Yeah.
And my job as chef is to make damn sure that every day she feels like I am up to the challenge and worth the money that she pays me.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
my goal. I want to make that woman a whole lot of money. I do.
Right. But in
I
doing
do.
that kind of like altruistic humility by making somebody else money and
Mhm.
knowing that they're giving you that same freedom, we talk a lot about leadership especially in a good restaurant culture and the impact that it has.
Yeah.
And, the post that I put up a little while ago, you commented and you were like, dude, that is why we are as successful as we are, because you have someone that believes in you to give you the creative inspiration, like do your thing, because
Yep.
I know that your intentions are in alignment with where we need to go together.
Yep.
Now I know that like being a great chef is also more than just cooking great food. From what I've seen personally, it's being able to have that good qualities of leadership, vision, as well as that mission to like continually grow and learn and like be okay with being the dumbest person in the room at times,
Yeah.
much like other.
Yes.
Um,
Especially now that social media and technology has taken over. I mean, I got 22 to 26-year-old kids in my kitchen.
yeah.
God, I
So,
don't understand half of the stuff they talk about from day to
well,
day.
that's what you had talked about. What's your take on the importance of mentorship and having that growth mindset for chefs and line cooks alike?
It's why I'm hopefully as good as I want to believe I am now, is because people took a chance on me and
Mm,
took me under their wing and showed me the right way because it was the right thing to do.
yeah.
And once I realized that, I didn't feel like a loser line cook. I felt like, man, I don't want to let this person down.
Mm,
And I went all in. You really, as a young chef,
yeah.
if you want to do this, you got to go all in.
Huh,
Check your bullshit at the door and be willing to work and be willing to do the stuff that nobody else wants to do, even the ugly stuff.
right.
Go shoulder deep in a grease trap when it's overflowing.
Yeah.
Go tend to your dishwasher if she cuts herself on a busy Saturday night. Make sure you take some time to take care of her, wrap her up, clean her up, make sure everything's sanitized,
Mm,
put some Band-Aids on her and get her back to work.
yeah.
I mean, man, I love what I do, and the intensity is only a good thing when everyone else is on the same wavelength with the best intentions.
Right.
Things are going to fail. Expect things to fail around you all the time. Be ready for it, even when you're not.
Yeah.
It just sometimes the kitchen can be a nightmare of a situation. But if you can keep your wits about you, rely on your team, and get a little creative, you can find a way to work through it.
Mm,
And I think that's one of the best qualities is just learning to adapt.
yeah.
And this whole thing happened 35 days ago. I did two things. I freaked out. I was like, okay, I'm now on unemployment.
Right.
I went and planted all the seeds I had in my garden and got them ready. I got my garden ready. I was like, I'm going to grow food. And then again, by the grace of the universe, I got a phone call from Rob Dick, who owns Totem Farms in Milton.
Mm,
And he needed help. He needed farm hands. He had no one. And now because of this virus, he couldn't find anybody.
mm,
I have an entire kitchen crew of hardworking individuals that I was scared for and didn't know if they were going to make it and didn't know if they had enough money. How do you
yeah.
tell 20 to 24-year-olds that you got to save for a global pandemic? And we didn't know what was going to happen with unemployment or anything else. Everything was so new and so scary.
Mm.
And now here I'm able to put them to work. The very first day that we were unemployed,
Oh, really?
here's a safety net.
Oh, that's
Here
amazing.
is a backup.
Wow.
So now even myself, we're working on a farm that we get a lot of our produce through, and we have for a few years now.
That's
And
incredible.
it's hard, humbling work, but it's good work. And here again, you feel good at the end of the day.
Right.
And here I am under the sun, surrounded by beautiful vegetation, working with my kitchen crew, who's my family that I already have a great relationship with.
Yeah.
And here we are getting our hands dirty and growing the food that hopefully we get to cook soon in a restaurant.
Amen, brother.
Sometimes the way life works is too beautiful.
Yeah.
All you can do is sit back and smile.
It's like that perfect kind of, I don't know, just the way that it would give back in that sense, like you've been using this farm to
Yep.
boost the restaurant, and now it's kind of a chance for you guys to give back in the same sense because they were there for you.
A farm is a lot of work, and they
Yeah.
needed a lot of help. And they have an awesome plan, and the food they grow is food you believe in. This is like beyond organic, because even being organic, you can still kind of spray some pesticides. They have nothing. There is no chemicals on this farm whatsoever.
Wow.
They use vinegar to clean the tables before they cut microgreens. I mean,
really,
there's nothing sprayed on this food, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, I show
that's
up.
your jam. Yeah.
I got my hands dirty. I'm a big guy, so I carry big, bulky, heavy things that no one else can.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing right now. It just feels good.
Now, with the rest of your team, obviously, mental health in the restaurant industry has been something that's obviously been talked about over a long period of time now. Well, short period of time now, which I think became much more prevalent after Chef Anthony Bourdain committed suicide, and like obviously, it's something that I really focus on with Beyond the Bar, but from someone who's worked in the kitchens for the last 15 plus years, you have to have a different take on what sort of factors like affect people that work on the line versus front of the house. I know that there's a lot that has to do with the mental health crisis, with dealing with customers. There's that level of self-esteem, self-confidence when you're handling money and being tipped. It's kind of like this way that you justify what you're worth. But in the back of the house, what do you think are some of the factors that really weigh in on people's mental health?
Kitchen work is hard, and in a lot of kitchens, kitchen employees are kind of looked down on. A lot of kitchens, you're forced to work way more hours than anyone else. You're crammed into tight little environments with fire, knives, bad attitudes. It's violent. It's like a pirate ship. People are cursing, yelling. That's not how it should be, but it is how it is in some kitchens. And that's going to give you a hard shell. And a lot of the kitchens I worked in when I was a much younger man, it was like that. And being in this new era, and I don't like to call anyone a millennial, but being in this new era, things are different. I don't understand what's going on with technology now. It moves so fast, and how people feel about things is so much different. And I learned that every day through the kids that I have working for me. I can't call them kids because they're young adults. But the idea is to constantly learn. And that's why I loved food in the first place, is that I never stopped growing. And I realized that I had to grow as a person too, not as a chef. And if I wanted something out of somebody, I had to change myself first. I had to look at what I was doing wrong or how I could be better. I had to change a lot of things about me before I could get anything else to change in my life.
Do you think that's one of those things that affects other people? Like,
yes,
how the lack maybe of growth mindset behind the line is something that kind of weighs on people? Because let's take when you work at Salt Air, for instance, or when you had mentioned about working at one of your first jobs where you didn't really see, there was no means to an end. It was just kind of like a job that you showed up for. I believe that there are different dimensions of people who have dreams and we'll call it purpose
for sure.
Lives, right? So you knew when you were working at Salt Air that there was something greater that you needed to get your hands on, you know, to like get into a different environment and expand and grow. Do you think that, I think it attacks on both sides of the coin, but I'd like to hear your perspective. Do you think people with a growth mindset or more of the stagnant mindset suffer more from some of the mental health factors that we'll say that plague the industry?
I'm going to say both. Some people have such high expectations for goals that they have set for themselves that when they hit failure, they're not good with it. It breaks them. And you can't let that happen. You have to learn to persevere. And sometimes you have to learn to just be able to take a break and breathe.
Yeah.
And I think breathing is it's a huge part of it. And then others, you know, you can't force everybody to want to be you. Mm-hmm. Everybody is different. So a lot of people that you're shoulder to shoulder on a line with, you know, not all of them want to be an executive chef someday.
Right.
Some of them are doing this because they really like it, but it's affording for them to pay for college to do something else they want. I think as a society, we need to learn to be a bit more understanding of that difference. Mm-hmm. You know, I loved in the city. I worked with everyone. I mean, everyone, you know, people of all walks of life, every color, every creed, every nationality. So we all brought something different to the table.
Yeah.
And that was fundamental for me. That was paramount. That changed my world perspective. Not everybody is fighting for the same thing. So you kind of have to figure out another way. You know, you got to, again, that idea of working with other people for a common ground.
Having empathy.
Yeah. Empathy is probably the most important tool in a kitchen.
Yeah.
just to, you know, realize sometimes it's okay. You're not always going to get along with everybody, but who says they're right and you're wrong? Who says you're right and they're wrong? You know, not everything is black and white. You got single moms fighting to just keep food on the table and the lights on.
Yeah.
You know, you got single dads putting their pride in their back pocket, working jobs maybe they don't always like, but they're there to do the best they can so they can make that paycheck.
Right.
Everyone wants to feel good about what they're doing at the end of the day. You know, little things I've noticed that have kept my team together is high fives, you know?
Yeah.
Showing gratitude, being grateful for them, not only showing up, but, you know, dealing with your bullshit. I mean, sometimes I can't even put full sentences together. And my team knows exactly what I'm talking about before I do.
Right.
And we have that because we've worked on it over and over and over again. You know, and they still, they find my faults and my failures, which I have many of them.
Yeah.
And they learn to work around them. And I think as a whole, that's how we get better as people, let alone chefs or restaurateurs or servers, bartenders.
Yeah. Do you think that with things like as strange as they are now, that aspects of the mental health crisis are quietly getting worse or actually healing?
I think
people in the restaurant.
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. I know I love being home with my family more. It's been awesome to, you know, be able to just have time hanging out with my wife and kids. I take a lot of walks every day. I walk through the woods with my dog all the time, and I play guitar with my son.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, my wife and kids are my hardest food critics I've ever had to make happy. they are overcritical, especially
Brittany
my
actually
9-year-old.
said that. Yeah.
He's kind of a jerk. He doesn't like green flavor.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just everything with a teaspoon of humility. I feel like you gotta have a core that you come back to and this is you, and nobody can take that away from you. And I feel, you know, depression starts a lot of times because you feel alone.
Right.
And it's really hard to tell some of those people that you're not alone when they, you know, have that in their mindset and in their heart. And I feel it's up to everybody to work on your core. You know, I tried going to the gym, and obviously now none of us can go to the gym. So I did some exercises at home, but you have to take care of your mind, and you have to take care of your body. And then everyone has a soul, and you have to take care of that soul. And that soul is kind of like umami, the idea of a sixth sense, you know, just like in tasting something and in flavor, there's the idea of a well-rounded flavor that hits every note.
Yeah.
I feel that, you know, the soul is that key purpose, that if you got to keep that soul sharp so that you can be a better husband, a better father, a better chef, a better mentor, a better friend, you know. And I mean, from a chef standpoint in the kitchen, I'm not just a chef. I am a mentor. I am a shoulder to cry on. I am an scapegoat. I am at fault. I am in favor. I'm here to be a plumber, an electrician, a scientist, a math teacher, comic relief. It's all encompassing. And, you know, the idea that you think you're special, just throw that out.
Right.
Throw that right out. But part of something special, it's a lot better. I think I'd rather feel like I'm helping others and myself to get somewhere than just taking myself somewhere.
Yeah.
There's too many people that I love now. There's too many people that I need to make sure can come with me. I am invested in too many other lives to worry that much about my own.
So you think
I just need to make sure that, if my core is good, I'm good for everyone else. And then you're just in it.
How does that fare? In the beginning, you had brought up, and I saw on the post today, you know, how you don't want to hear that this is the new normal, right?
Yeah.
One, obviously, I want to try and dissect that a little bit. So, in your opinion, what do you think we're looking at for the future of restaurants, as well as the livelihood of local farmers, you know, because the new normal, I don't know. I mean, it's a temporary, sure, but what are you considering? What bothers you so much about that? And where are you seeing this going if it's not the new normal?
Okay. Well, this is us finally working together as a species.
Agreed.
We are all human. It's the first time I know of, any of us know of, that the entire world is working together. Thank God.
Yeah.
You know, no matter who we have in power, even when we don't believe that they're doing the best job, at least people together are making decisions together that help everyone. Humanity will get through this. You know, we've gotten through the bubonic plague, we've gotten through depressions before, and we're facing hard times. A lot of good things come out of hard times. Right now, we just got to focus on what we need to survive. And I think this helped to put a lot of things in check. You know, the brand name clothes that you're wearing aren't going to put food on the table.
Yeah.
We need clean water to drink. We need shelter. We need to focus more on the things that are important, real important. You know, focus on life as opposed to a lot of stuff that didn't matter. And this has helped to bring light to it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, but that's more of a perspective take on the quarantine and COVID as a whole. But I want to hear why you said that this is not the new normal, and you like there was clearly some like emphasis put behind that.
As a species, as humankind, we are a social group. We always have been. We hug, we high five, we smile at each other, we
Right.
share embraces, we work together, we play together.
Yeah.
We function as a species, you know, just like bees to a hive.
Right.
We all need to coexist. I mean, if you look at it, now more than ever was the best time for something like this to happen, because we are all connected via social media. We
I
can
agree.
still talk and express feeling and emotion and show art and culture and love, and we're going to get through this.
Yep.
Things will be different, but I don't think they're going to be drastically different. If things do change, I hope that it changes for the better.
Mhm.
And I think we need to advocate for that push. Restaurant workers need more of a fair life.
Yeah.
Business owners are taking new approaches and new ideas to how important, employees are to them, not only customers, but as a whole. I think we are learning to have a mix of life as well as work.
Hmm.
I think people are realizing just how delicate our systems are that are in place. Look at food. People are saying that the food chain is going to fail.
Right.
In Delaware alone, we have more than enough farmland to grow more than enough food for everyone around us.
Hmm.
As a country, 80% of our food comes from Mexico and South America. On an offset, why somebody would want to build a wall between us and the most important resource we have, I have no idea. But that's for another topic.
Right.
We already work together as a world.
Mm-hmm.
Whether our leaders want us to believe so or not, we are so interconnected and dependent on each other that that's the only way we can push.
Yeah.
The idea of racisms and indifference, it's going to be thrown out the window, and it's got to happen soon.
I agree.
We are not so different.
Where do you think that puts us, like the future of restaurants as they're talking about things now? Especially, let's use us for example, going into the summer season down here in a seasonal town.
Mm-hmm.
Your guess is as good as anyone else's, but in your opinion, how do you think restaurants are going to fare moving forward, let's say in the next year?
I think across the board, sanitation and cleanliness is going to have to be a major factor. It's going to play a significant role. And pardon me, I'm trying to figure out how to charge my phone here.
Yeah, you're good.
I think we're good. Okay. So obviously in my restaurant, because of what we do, sanitation was already our first priority. Cleanliness, transparency. When the health inspector comes in, I want that floor to be clean enough that you could perform surgery on it.
Right.
That's my OCD hard at work. From now on, I think that's going to be expected. I think that health inspectors are going to be pushing even further that cleanliness is number one. I think number two, once this is kind of past itself, which I know people don't see that in the nearable future, but just like the flu,
Mm-hmm.
When the original flu strain was out, it was deadly. It was killing people. And it usually takes about 11 months to a year and 3 months to formulate a vaccine and then have trials and make sure that vaccine is safe for people.
Yeah.
And it'll happen. We will find a way. There's silver linings to everything. I feel like we're going to lose a lot of restaurants. Yeah. And that's sad to say. I hate saying it because some of the most important restaurants are just the small mom and pop places that are just living paycheck to paycheck. They're just thriving. They're just trying to get their feet off the ground. And that's some of the most important food we have in this country right now. Or, the small places that are pushing good cultural food. We need that.
Yeah.
We're all coming together to show our cultures and our unique differences, and how beautiful that culture is and how well it tastes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of your big corporate chains that just push out fried food to the masses are going to be just fine because they make millions off of cheaper bits, and that they've been around for a long time and they have staying power because of it.
Hmm.
And then you're going to have your really high-end fancy restaurants, which I know some people think we're really fancy, but I'm pushing chicken scrapple here, and I make my money off of the scraps that most people would throw out. We ferment or dehydrate or change, or work very hard to source just local food, and just to push an idea of comfort as opposed to snobbery.
Mm.
I don't know, honestly, who will stay and who will go.
Yeah.
But I
think
do
that's
know
the
we're
dark
going to
truth.
lose a lot of good people. But those restaurants closing a lot of time can make room for even better things to come. I think we got to stop throwing stones.
I agree.
I think we need to have each other's back a little bit more. Everybody's looking for a die-hard answer, but I don't think anyone has one.
No.
Even our great leaders, they can't see into the future. We don't know what's going to happen. But if we keep our wits about us and stay positive, good things should come with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, honestly. And especially even the beginning, I think it was so reassuring for so many people. I know that right now we're kind of hitting this 4 to 6 week mark for most people,
Yeah.
where the quarantine is finally starting to get them. And a lot, like, I won't dive too deep into this because it is a very complex, like, took me hours of unfolding this beast to like really break into the psyche of it. But people are finally starting to break, because I think off the gate, like you said, first thing was, oh shit, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then it was, okay, I'm going to survive.
Yep.
People, we adapt. We are naturally adaptable creatures, right? So for those who needed to figure out a way, you got an opportunity. For those who, are just willing to survive, they got unemployment. But I think what happened was so many people ran out those first couple weeks, and they either, one, they enjoyed it, they found the freedom to it, they were like, all right, I can do what I want, and blah 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 blah. But I think what started to taper off was they found that the hedonistic pleasures that we pride so much of our downtime in can only last happiness for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or it can only take you for so long. And
for
I think
sure.
people were really using it as an anti-anxiolytic,
Yeah.
alcohol for one. Like, we've seen alcohol sales double, like almost 230% or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I make sure I really only have a few drinks a week,
yeah,
just because I got myself to a point a few years ago with that working on yourself thing, that alcohol was not going to help me do anything.
right.
But I love it.
Yeah,
It's a miracle in alchemy. There are moments in life that I truly enjoy a drink, like a glass of wine with my wife on date night,
yeah,
or drinking bourbon out of a flask, standing in a perfectly good river with a fly rod in my hand. I'm not willing to give up those experiences.
yeah,
Sharing a drink with friends, but being panicked and getting drunk
yeah. It's a
is the
dangerous
worst
road.
scenario you can possibly imagine.
Right.
And it just creates a cancer that we can't heal. So I don't partake.
Yeah.
I enjoy
And
a drink when I can enjoy a drink, when it's time to drink.
which is the difference, I think, because people, when they lack the routine that came with all this stuff, and
Yeah.
we'll say rules, um, you're a self-governing human being, you know what I mean? So if nobody's there to tell you no, you're left to your own devices. And what
Yep.
scares me the most in this industry, that you can probably relate to when we talk about mental health, is you don't, like, I don't know if I could think of any other careers where you can have a job where you can walk up to the bar and say, can I get a beer shooter? Let's do a shot,
Yeah.
And you're not even batting an eye. So what we're intentionally doing is we're kind of like Pavlov's dog. We're stressed. Hey, can I get a beer
Yeah.
shooter? And like, ding, 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 I get the reward. I feel better. So what
Yeah.
happens?
But that doesn't help stress whatsoever.
No, but that's what I mean. It masks it. And I think what happened was it masked it long enough that the 6-week break has really started to turn people around. And now they're starting to like really get down on themselves with these, oh
Yeah.
my God, how long is this going to last? I'm so inconsistent. I don't know what we're doing here. So I agree
When
with
you're
you.
alone in your thoughts for that long, you have no one else to blame.
Yeah.
You have to look internally. You have to look at yourself.
Which is what I like to advocate, but
Yeah.
it's also a dark place if you don't know what you're looking for and you're not ready for the answers.
Well, sometimes we got to throw ourselves in.
You ain't fucking kidding.
I
I
tell my
got you.
daughter all the time, she's about to go to college, and I tell her, sweetheart, I love you, and I can't wait to see you fall on your face.
Well,
Because
exactly.
you don't know your worth until that happens.
No.
Self-discipline is the most important thing we can have as humans. Yes, we could, and we can ask ourselves if we would,
Mhm.
but a lot of people don't like to ask themselves if they should. And I think that should be the first question.
Well said.
Should I do this? What is going to be the offense if I do this?
Right.
If I drink all this beer, obviously I could have a really good time, but tomorrow I'm going to hate my life. And that's not an acceptable scenario for me.
Yeah.
I have to wake up at 6 or 7 because I have children that are hungry and looking to me for guidance. And I don't have anybody else that I can sub. I'm there. It's only me. And I don't want to fail at that job. My number one job are my kids. And, I look at my wife and she's a big spur of inspiration for me because she's solid.
Yeah.
And she loves to enjoy herself. She loves life. She loves to have a few drinks with her friends, with me, when she can enjoy it. But when it's time to get down to business, we get down to business.
Yep.
I mean, I just feel like a lot of depression is out there because instead of being honest with ourselves, we just swept it under the rug. And we can't do that. You can't do that. You have to face it. Now, I know there's a lot of inspirational speakers out there that, tell you, you can do this, you can do that. And they demand that you do it a certain way, but that doesn't work, man, because everybody's different.
Yeah.
So unless you find your own way to deal with some of these problems with help, there is help out there. I would help anybody if I can. If there's something I can do to help somebody else so that they can feel better about themselves or make some money or put food on the table, I'm going to do my best to try, because that's what I feel most of us want to do as a human society, is we want to help, even if we think we don't.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I think first and foremost, you have to be honest with yourself. Secondly, no one's going to help you but yourself. If you're not willing to help yourself, no one else is even going to know that there's a problem. So that's a big one. I don't like to push fault or blame on anybody, but I will advocate that you make a problem. If you make a mistake, own up to it.
Yeah.
Own it right away. Just spit it out of your mouth. I did that. I fucked up. That's my fault. I did it. Even if you didn't do it. Sometimes if you're responsible for that, I did it. It's my fault.
As you mentioned in the beginning, how this industry has kind of allowed you to remain a big 40-year-old kid, and to remain what you said as immature. Do you think that has anything to do with what we're talking about right now and taking that accountability? Because so much in our industry, we can project and say how it's someone else's fault or relate to the people around us. Like culturally, we are in a society that deems drinking and things like this and depression and like, whoa, I'm anxious. And you're like, oh, me too, dude. I'm so weeded right now. But like for that person, it really means like I'm having a fucking breakdown right now. Like, so
I think there are things that we need to start looking at what makes a restaurant a good, safe environment to work in. A, positivity. B, I don't think shift drinks should be a thing anymore.
I agree.
No other job is rewarded with an alcoholic beverage after work. Lawyers don't go in and do their job and fill out all their paperwork and then, oh man, well, I'm going to punch out and grab a beer. It's going to be great. You know, school teachers don't keep, or most school teachers don't keep a bottle of liquor in their bottom cabinet. So as soon as that bell rings, it's like, man, I'm taking a shot.
Right.
Woo! School's over. You know, it just doesn't happen. They still have more work to do when they go home and homework. You know, nurses and doctors are not keeping a keg in their office for after hours.
There's a level of accountability and responsibility that comes with a lot of other jobs that once the buzzer rings, you still have things that you need to get done. And, you know, I'm obviously not going to blame myself as a hypocrite here as we sit here on Brews with Bosses, you know, but this is more of one of those things, like, to relate to the people in the industry. I want to show that you can have these sort of intellectual conversations and do things, but like, I'm only drinking 2-3 days a week, you know what I mean? And this is really just to get down on a human level with someone who people may not be able to get in touch with and see like what you had to go through in these steps to get to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
And, that being said, I know we could talk about this forever, but what are some of the things that you guys over at Heirloom are doing right now during the quarantine?
Well, since we still do the bi-weekly menu, we are in conversation a lot. Okay. Rachel, who is essentially my CDC, my chef de cuisine, she's my pastry chef, and Meg Lee, the three of us talk a lot. And then there's Bo, he's my sous chef. He's been running our bread program for all of these bi-weekly food scenarios that we've been building. Yeah. You know, we still work as a team very much. Asher, who is kind of like my ferment and charcuterie guy, he's a genius and he's really smart in some aspects that can be very hard in a restaurant. He takes those projects on head on. So, you know, I use everybody's strengths, and we work together. And every once in a while, I do a roll call. Where are my people at? Are you guys okay? Does everybody have food? Does everybody have shelter? You know, I have one of my kitchen crew, Hannah. She's up north. She lives up in Dover. I make sure at least once every couple of weeks she's doing okay, and she's been picking some odd jobs here and there to help, you know, make some money and bring food home. Yeah. Frank, he works Garmanger, and you remember Frank. I had him at Salt Air with me, and I love that man. He has got the biggest heart of anybody, and he puts everything he has into what he does. Yeah. I got him at Heirloom, and he's loving it. You know, when this thing happened, he was the first to go work on the farm. Oh, yeah. Frank is essentially my boss now when I go to work. You know, here's this kid that I brought with me, and now I see him blossoming, and he loves to work hard, and he's out in that field giving it everything he's got. And 9 times out of 10, I can be like, Frank, what are we working on today? And he's going to lead me in the right direction. So I just to see other people flourishing, it makes me proud and incredibly happy. Awesome. You know, I think restaurants, a lot of restaurants have gotten to the point where they just look at people as bodies. You know, especially down where we are, the summer is really busy and the off season is considerably slower. So these big, huge restaurant chains, a lot of times they're just hiring people, you know, by the bucket, just to throw them around in the kitchen. Yeah. And they teach them very little. It's more about movements than it is about learning about food. And that's not right. I think that from now on, as restaurants, we should be educators. I think that we should be sharing our passions with the people that work for us. Again, not everybody is going to take, not everybody's going to bite, but a lot of people will. Yeah. You take me a kid that's never worked in a high-end restaurant before, but he or she is going to show up one time, give everything they have, and they want to learn and they're hungry. I'll take that kid over a college graduate any day. because they want that job. They
Yeah.
want to be there. And those are the people I want, the people that are hungry, not the people that are looking to climb over anyone else to get to the top, but the people that are looking to make their life better, that are looking for a chance, that maybe don't know where they want to end up, or they're scared of where they're going to end up. Those are the people you take under your wing. You give them a taste, and if they love it, then you give them everything you have.
Amen.
Everything.
So
And that's how it's got to be.
yeah,
That's putting your best foot forward. That is what we need in the industry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's as good as it gets there, especially from picking. When they say the expression, it's so hard to find good help these days. Well, I think when you're putting out the mission and the message like you guys are, you attract, the
Good
type
help.
of, yeah, exactly, the type of person that you're looking for. So, final question to you: as a chef, a father, a husband, when it's all said and done, when this is all done and they send you out on your surfboard, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Man, that's hard.
I mean, every chef has, some idea of a legacy or what they'd like to
I
achieve in their lifetime. And I know you had mentioned earlier what your father said to you. Um,
I want to affect people in the most positive way I can. You can't change people, you can only change yourself. But if I can inspire a few to take up what I'm trying to do now, we're looking at a pretty tasty future. I just want to represent where I'm at now.
mm,
I live in Delaware. A lot of people said what I wanted to do wasn't going to work down here. And all I wanted to do was represent this place.
yeah,
What we have, the people that work hard to grow amazing food, to catch fish, to grow livestock, to put the best that they possibly can on a plate. I want them to be the rock stars. And if we work together as a community, imagine where we could be 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
yeah,
I'm going to push for us to be an even tighter community, for restaurants to work together, to end a lot of this stupid competition or idea of I need to be better than everyone else. We're all going to be busy. There's more than enough people to come around. Once this thing is over, and it will end,
mm,
we will be thriving again. More and more people are moving down here every year. We're becoming less and less seasonal. I
correct.
see housing developments and apartments and homes going up everywhere, which is kind of scary.
Yeah,
I see a lot of farmland disappearing. And I'm hoping from anything we take from this is that we're realizing the importance of fortifying our homes first. If you invest in where you're at, you live in a strong base. You have, you know, you have this fortress of communication and love and respect going around. And we need that. We need that infrastructure. Great. We're a great place to visit in the in the summer. We
yeah,
have beautiful beaches. But if we learn to work together, we could have such a stronger economy, such a stronger community, and we could come together a lot more over the same things. And I'd like to advocate for that. I hope
hell
that we
yeah,
can
dude.
put our differences aside and find ways to flourish in our differences rather than default people and penalize people for being something that people didn't think would work. I want to see that idea of turn and burn end.
Yeah,
Yes, we all need to make money. Alcohol is just another way to make money.
right.
People love to drink in the moment. We are trying to offer that. But alcohol is not the end of the day. It's just a part of our job. And if you view it as that, it is just a commodity.
Mm,
It's not a stress reliever. It's not a good time. It's just our business.
amen, dude.
Outside of work, it's something different. But working with it, it's just another way to make money.
Well
I
said, sir.
I want to
Cheers to
believe more
you.
in people than profits. Cheers, buddy.
Go. Believe more in people than profits. I think that's the best way. Put that on your bumper sticker. Thank you so much for having me on. Well, for me letting you come on today. Thanks for being
Hey,
on
man.
the show today, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Matt Kern, everybody. Thank you so much. Look forward to hearing more from you via social media. Where can I find you at?
I'm Captain Colonel Crispy on Instagram. I know it's a retarded, goofy name, but that's a nickname I got early on in my life, and it stuck.
Yeah.
And just Matthew Kern on Facebook. I'm the big bald guy, usually making some funny looking faces.
Perfect.
Never take yourself too seriously.
Love it. Great work.
Love you, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you so much. Love you too. Take care, brother.
You too. Talk to you soon.